We're now in the fifth day of 2021. It's 4:28 in the morning. I've been working here for about an hour already, but I didn't get ready to launch my daily video because I was busy finishing up some projects that I'd started yesterday, and I'm really enthusiastic to show you. I'm continuing to follow along in the journal, the Earning Freedom Daily Journal. This is the same strategy that empowered me of going through more than 26 years in prison, 9,500 days exactly. And when I went in there, I had a mindset of coming out strong, and that's what I want you to be thinking. Regardless of what you're going through right now, be thinking about what can you do to come back strong, and that's what this book will help you do. It shows you how leaders really inspired me while I was living inside of a really small solitary cell inside of the Pierce County Jail. I got exposed to a leader, and that was Socrates, who really just changed the way I thought. He helped me recognize that I live by a bad philosophy, or I had been living by a bad philosophy. And if I wanted to change, I had to do something about it. So you can see that that is something, through this journal, you can see that this is something that you can employ in your life, whether you want to be building a better career, whether you want to be building a better relationship, whether you want to be getting into better fitness. This is a phenomenal tool to journal not only where you are, but what you want to become. And you can see that I'm really committed to it. I never ask anybody to do anything that I'm not doing. And I think you can see it by looking right at the top of this screen, and you'll see that it's 4:30 in the morning right now on, I think today is Tuesday, January, I know it's January the 5th because I could see on the bottom of my screen. In fact, you can see right here, if I bring my mouse down here, I can show you where we are. There we are. We're on January the 5th. It's now 4:30 in the morning, and I'm continuing these efforts that I task everybody with doing inside of the daily journal. Now, one of the cool things about the journal is every page it has tasks. Not only does it teach you a story about what you're doing, but it also starts with an annotation, and then it tells a story about why this is important. And then there are a series of critical thinking exercises to kind of challenge you. What I mean by critical thinking exercises, there's not a right answer, there's not a wrong answer, but rather it's giving you some ideas for best practices and suggesting these are steps that you could be taking. So, for example, like for today's annotation, it says, when we're pursuing a pathway to succeed, we need a strategy. That strategy becomes our game plan. We use tactics to, I can't read, I'm getting so old. I'm actually going to be 57 in a couple of weeks. We use tactics to convert our high-level plan into reality. The tactics give us clear guidance on what we must do every day to move closer to the success we have defined. Regardless of the challenges we are facing, the tactics at the beginning of our plan will evolve as we progress. Every day, we should pursue tactics that align with our strategy. That's excellent. Now I'm going to show you that annotation or that guidance in real time of how I am using it. You see, and then at the end, then there's the lesson. Then at the end of the lesson, there are these series of questions. What tactics have you created to help you overcome your challenge? Well, here I'm going to actually show you how I did it, how I'm using it now, how I was using it. If you want to learn how I was using it while I was in prison, you may want to read this book, which is Earning Freedom. All of these are available in our library, but you can just tune into these YouTube channels and get the inspiration, get the hope that you need to know how do you stay focused and disciplined, create tools, tactics, and resources to help you succeed. So I'm going to show you how I do that by, again, making myself small and showing you all of the different tools, tactics, and resources that I create to build something. Now, you've seen this site before. This is my new website. It's representing the new business that I am building, but I need to communicate to an audience about what we do and how we bring value. You see, for many years, I've been out of jail now for somewhere between 7 and 8 years. I got out in August of 13. I concluded my sentence, and I've been learning how to use the internet, learning how to create videos, learning how to use all of the technology that society created during the 26 years that I served in prison. I mean, when I went to prison, there wasn't a cell phone. I'd never sent an email. I'd never made a video. So I had to learn all of that, because these technology, these tools can help us develop phenomenal resources. So we need all kinds of resources. The first thing we've got to do, and I'll show you right here, is we've got to write them all out. So this is a written story of all the work that I wanted to complete. And it really defines the different roles that I want to create, the different functions of every role. So I write it all out first, and you can see it's rather an extensive outline where everything is defining, because I am going to create a tool or a tactic that I can use to advance my plan. The next tool or tactic is going to be a visual representation of what we're doing. And you can see it. I could actually make it a little bigger right here. And, I kind of build it all out using all of my resources, build it all out, show the different tools that I'm going to make so that I can clearly explain and articulate what am I trying to do. Well, what I'm trying to do on this slide is to show you that I want to communicate in a manner that helps business leaders and professionals understand what can they do to improve processes. How can they build their own tools, tactics? Well, the first thing they've got to do is they've got to create this process. And a lot of people don't know how to do it. So again, I never ask anybody to do anything that I'm not doing, right? I want our team to be communicating to you as if, we're an authentic voice. And so we show the processes that we create to build our business. We show the configurations that we put in place. This is nothing more than a quadrant, right? And the quadrant in the upper right is what is both urgent and important. This is what I've got to do first. I've got to create my processes. I've got to configure what I'm going to do. I've got to make sure that I'm building something that is scalable. And that's what these sections here show. Then I can move on to something that is still urgent but not as important as this. If I don't do this first, I can't do this. Because if I do this, now I can communicate what I'm doing. And then I can create reports on how I'm going to measure it, and I can create compensation plans to incentivize the people on our team. That's all part of the process, okay? This is urgent and important. Urgent on this side of the scale. It's important in the quadrant. This is also urgent, but I got to do this first, okay? Then I move over here. See, and you've got these color codes here of what to do first, second, third, fourth. Then I've got to create my metrics. After I've taken care of this, I create my metrics. I create my transparency logs. I show how we are going to exceed expectations. This is not as urgent as those two, but it's still crucial and important. And then we've got here what is urgent and important, but in the fourth order. And that's how we're going to build synergies and show other people how to do it. We're going to increase the knowledge base. We're going to show how every individual can take ownership of what they're doing. If I can do that, I am going to lower costs for the consumers that I serve, which is something that businesses want to do. They want lower costs, but they also want to increase revenues. The reason I lower costs is because if I create a really solid mitigation plan, I'm going to help a company lower litigation costs for defense attorneys. They're going to lower their costs for production because they're really going to define what they're doing. They crystallize that message. They're going to increase revenues because if they invest the time, energy, and resources to build this, they're able to communicate more effectively with the customers they want to serve. And of course, the better they can communicate, the more revenues come in. We're going to reduce efforts with this effort because everybody has very clear marching orders. We're going to increase the quality because we're going to deliver the same thing every time. Whether you can see this at McDonald's. I like to use McDonald's as an example. You can go to McDonald's in Chicago, or you can go to McDonald's in New York, or you can go to McDonald's right here in Laguna Beach, California, and you're going to get the same menu because everything is delivered the same. They have created a quality for their customer base of what they want to deliver every time in every place. And all of this documentation is what mitigates your risk. It brings the risk levels down because you're demonstrating the time and the energy you've built to create a best-in-class process to show people what you're doing. You see, this is your organization. You've got these different components. We've got to define every component. Our team will help businesses really tell their story. Okay, and you can kind of just, walk through all this. I made a rather extensive video on this yesterday. I want to show the people on the team. Who are the people that are within the roles, and what are their responsibility levels? So these are all of the people that are coming into our organization, and I have to really crystallize and define the roles and responsibilities for every person. That is the way you mitigate risk. You defer, you demonstrate that you're qualified for a non-prosecution agreement or a deferred prosecution agreement or a mitigation, because you're demonstrating that you didn't do this in willful blindness. You didn't keep your head in the sand. You're not an ostrich. Rather, you're somebody who's really thought a lot about everything that you're doing, you see, and you document out the way that your business operates, from the time you hire somebody to the time you pursue a customer acquisition strategy, to every step that you make, the different boxes and flows that you create. You want to diagram all this out, so if you're ever caught or questioned by an investigator, and in this era of big government, there are going to be more investigations. So, my value proposition to consumers, to my customers, whether it's CEOs or of businesses or business founders or anybody, is you've got to be able to tell this story in a coherent way. And, we need things like this. This is a swim chart that shows every function within the various lanes, right? These are swim lanes. So from the time somebody comes in the website, to the time your customer relationship management software is measuring them, to the way that your sales process is carried out and the way you communicate with customers, right? All of that we want to define. And then we want to show the features and the benefits, right? We show the features right here, and we really put an emphasis on the benefits. And you see, we have two verticals. We've got a vertical that we sell to business leaders. We have a vertical that we sell to consumers, and that's helping people position themselves for lower sentences. And then we talk about how we use this business to show the general user experience. So every function is listed within one of these categories, and this is our internal workflow of what happens. And then I create a legend where there's colors and shapes and what they all mean. And then when I do that, on our website, I actually create a tool so that anybody can find it. So if somebody goes to one of our 4 core features that we offer, and that's, we help people avoid government investigations, we provide mitigation strategies, we build tools for people convicted of white collar crimes, and then we help with reputation management. But we do so in a very principled way. And so we build these various pages that show what we do. And then we have different, validation points so they can see it. So this is the section that I created yesterday, and you see it's the same thing that I showed you. So this takes a tremendous amount of time, but it's a tool, it's a tactic, it's a resource that I use to help businesses understand how the decisions they make today influence what they become. Are they mitigating risk? The story should show priorities. There's the same slides. I just talk a little bit about it here, right? These are all the things that we do. The documents support the story, right? We show the people in the roles of the story, right? We want to show the functions that each role serves. All of this is part of a plan. And of course, why do I call it a tool or a tactic? Because people are going to read it. We hope they're going to know, like, and trust us. And then they're going to click this button and they're going to book an appointment. And when they book an appointment, they get to talk to one of our mitigation experts. And that is the strategies that I use. But none of that happens if a person doesn't really lay out the plan. First by writing it out, then by planning it out, or first by, I talk like this. You define success. That's step 1. Step 2 is you've got to document the story. That's what you see me do all the time. Step 3 is you've got to create a plan on how you're going to get from where you are to where you want to go. And then we talk about putting priorities in place. You know that you have to do this before you do this, before you do this. If you don't do these things, this is never going to happen. That's what we learn how to do if you start keeping a daily journal. If you want to be successful at the end of the year, you've got to be planning at the beginning of the year. And that's why today, on January the 5th at I guess I started at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now it's 4:43, so I've been filming this video for about 13 minutes. But when you're doing this work, you're not doing it, by the seat of your pants. You're really laying out a methodical plan, and if you can document that plan, you can show that you didn't succeed by accident. Rather, everything you architected. So I want you to start architecting your pathway to success. And if you want a great, simple tool to help you, consider getting the Earning Freedom Journal. I never ask anybody to do anything I didn't do while I was in prison that I'm not still doing now. And you can see that not only did it work for me when I was living in the depths of struggle, but it works for me today, now that I'm in society and building businesses and creating. And that's what our team wants for you. We want you to be thinking about what can you do, so that you can get this if you visit our website, whether it's Compliance Mitigation or prisonprofessors.com, just by going to the store link. If you are watching this on YouTube and you go to the banner at the top, you can download free resources that are going to help you. Of course, the links are in the show notes below. But we'd really love it if you subscribed to our channel, share our channel with others. This is the way that we help people who are living in challenging times position themselves for success. And we want you to succeed. And one of the ways that we do it is we suggest that you document your plan, you create your tools, tactics, and resources, and you execute every single day. And so now it's time for me to get back to work. So I'm going to mix this video. I'm going to film it. I hope that what you're going to do is hit like and subscribe to this channel so that we can help more people achieve their highest personal potential. That's how we strive to be the change that we want to see in the world. I am Michael Santos with Prison Professors, really in the midst of building a new business called Compliance Mitigation, and we hope that you're building the business of your life.